When Zara Williams discovered her fiancé in bed with her best friend, her world shattered into a million pieces. One bottle of champagne led to another, and before she knew it, she was making the worst decision of her life. Or was it the best? She wakes up in an unfamiliar mansion with a pounding headache, a diamond ring she doesn't recognize, and a contract with her signature on it. The man watching her from across the room isn't just any stranger. He's Dante Russo, the most powerful and feared businessman in New York. And according to the papers scattered across the bed, she just agreed to be his wife for 1 year. But in Dante's world, nothing is ever that simple. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that'll have you questioning every choice you've ever made. The sunlight stabbing through floor-to-ceiling windows felt like knives in Zara's skull. She groaned, turning her face into the pillow. Silk, expensive silk, and immediately knew something was wrong. Her bed didn't have silk pillowcases. Her bed didn't have pillows that felt like clouds. And her bedroom definitely didn't smell like sandalwood and money. Zara's eyes snapped open. The room around her looked like it had been ripped from an architectural magazine. Minimalist furniture in shades of charcoal and cream. Abstract art that probably cost more than her car. Windows stretching from floor to ceiling, revealing a view of Central Park that made her breath catch. This wasn't her apartment in Brooklyn. She sat up too quickly and the room tilted. Her mouth tasted like expensive vodka and regret. She was wearing a white silk nightgown she'd never seen before, and her clothes from last night were folded neatly on a chair by the door. Then she saw it. On her left hand, catching the morning light, a massive diamond ring, easily 3 carats, set in platinum with smaller diamonds circling the band. It was a kind of ring that came with security guards and insurance policies. "No," she whispered, staring at her hand like it belonged to someone else. "No, no, no." She scrambled out of bed, her bare feet hitting heated marble floors. And that's when she saw the papers on the nightstand. Marriage contract. The words jumped out at her in bold letters. Her hands shook as she picked up the document, her eyes scanning frantically. This agreement, entered into on the 15th day of November, 2025, between Dante Russo, hereinafter husband, and Zara Williams, hereinafter wife. Her signature was at the bottom, definitely her signature, even if she had no memory of writing it. "You're awake." Zara spun around so fast she nearly fell. A man stood in the doorway, tall, probably 6'3", with dark hair swept back from a face that belonged on magazine covers. He wore a charcoal suit that fit him like it had been sewn onto his body, and his eyes were the coldest shade of gray she'd ever seen. He was beautiful in the way dangerous things are beautiful. Sharp, predatory, absolutely lethal. "Who are you?" Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. "Dante Russo." He stepped into the room with the confidence of someone who owned everything he touched. "Your husband?" "That's not possible." Zara held up the contract with shaking hands. "This isn't real. This is some kind of prank." "It's very real. Filed with the city this morning." He moved to the bar cart by the window and poured 2 glasses of water, offering her one. "You should hydrate. You had quite a bit to drink last night." Zara took the glass automatically, her mind racing. Fragments of memory tried to surface. A club, music pounding through her chest, someone buying her drinks, laughing at something that wasn't funny. "I don't understand," she said. "I went out with my co-workers last night. We were celebrating the end of a project. I had a few drinks and—" She stopped, the memory hitting her like a freight train. Jason, her fiancé, ex-fiancé now, coming home early from his business trip, to find him in their bed with Rebecca, her best friend since college. The betrayal had been so complete, so devastating, that she stood there for a full minute, unable to process what she was seeing. Then she'd run. "You were at Onyx," Dante said, watching her with those unsettling gray eyes. "You'd been crying. Your makeup was smudged, and you ordered 3 shots of tequila before I even sat down." The memory sharpened. The club, the bass thrumming in her bones, trying to drink away the image of Jason and Rebecca tangled together in sheets she'd picked out. And then a man had slid onto the stool next to her. Handsome, impeccably dressed, with eyes that saw too much. You talked to me, Zara said slowly. You said you could help me forget. I said a lot of things. Dante's expression didn't change. So, did you? What did I say? He pulled out his phone, tapped something, and handed it to her. Video footage, clearly from a security camera at the club. She watched herself, drunk and crying, gesturing wildly while talking to a man who was now standing in front of her. The video had no sound, but she could read her own lips. I want to disappear. I want a completely different life. I don't want to be Zara Williams anymore. And then, clear as day, I'll do anything. Her stomach dropped. You made me an offer, Dante said quietly. I accepted it. What kind of offer? But even as she asked, she knew. The contract in her hand spelled out clearly. 1 year of marriage in exchange for $5 million. $5 million. You needed an escape, Dante continued. I needed a wife. We both got what we wanted. I don't remember agreeing to this. You were quite enthusiastic about it, actually. You said your fiancé would regret losing you when he saw you married to someone like me. His mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. You weren't wrong. I checked his social media this morning. He's been calling you nonstop since photos of our wedding hit the internet. Zara's head spun. Photos? What photos? Dante took his phone back and pulled up a gossip website. There, splashed across the homepage, were pictures of her and him at what looked like an elegant ceremony. She was wearing a stunning white dress, laughing up at him while he looked down at her with an expression that almost seemed tender. Billionaire Dante Russo marries mystery woman in secret ceremony. This is insane, Zara whispered. You're insane. I'm calling the police. And telling them what? That you signed a legal contract while intoxicated. Dante's voice remained calm, reasonable. You were coherent enough to negotiate terms, sign documents, and participate in a wedding ceremony. We have video evidence of everything. The contract is ironclad. There has to be a way out. There is. Wait 1 year, fulfill the terms, and walk away $5 million richer. He moved closer, and she caught the scent of his cologne, something dark and expensive. Or try to break it and spend the next decade in court while I tie up every asset you have. Your choice. Zara wanted to scream, wanted to throw the glass of water at his perfect face. But underneath the panic, a tiny voice in the back of her mind whispered, $5 million. Freedom. A completely new life. Why? She asked. Why would you marry a stranger? You're obviously rich. You could have anyone. For the first time, something flickered in Dante's expression. I need a wife for business reasons. My grandfather's will stipulates that I must be married to inherit full control of Russo Industries. I have 6 months to comply, or the company goes to my cousin, who will run it into the ground. So you married a drunk girl from a nightclub? I married someone with no connections to my world. Someone who won't have expectations beyond what's in that contract. His eyes held hers. Someone who needed an escape as badly as I needed a solution. This is still insane. Yes, Dante agreed, but it's done. The question now is, what are you going to do about it? Zara looked down at the contract again, her eyes catching on the details she'd missed before. $5 million, paid out at the end of 12 months. A penthouse apartment in her name. A monthly allowance of $50,000. All she had to do was play the role of devoted wife at public events and maintain the appearance of a happy marriage. 1 year of her life for financial freedom. What if I refuse? She asked quietly. Then you'll find yourself in legal trouble you can't afford to fight. That contract includes a clause about breach of agreement. You signed it. Zara, it's binding. She hated him in that moment, hated the calm certainty in his voice, the way he'd taken advantage of her broken state, the cold calculation behind those gray eyes. But she also hated Jason Moore, hated the years she'd wasted on a man who betrayed her with her best friend, hated the life she'd built that had crumbled in a single night. Maybe this insane arrangement was exactly what she needed. Fine, Zara said, meeting his gaze. 1 year, but we need rules. Something that might have been respect flickered in Dante's eyes. I'm listening. Separate bedrooms. No physical expectations beyond what's necessary for public appearances. And I want access to a lawyer to review every word of that contract. Done, and already arranged. My lawyer will meet with you this afternoon. He moved toward the door, then paused. One more thing. We have a charity gala tonight. 7 o'clock. Your stylist will be here at 2. My what? You're Zara Russo now. You need to look the part. He gave her a long, assessing look. Don't worry. You'll be stunning. After he left, Zara sank onto the bed, still clutching the contract. Her phone had been charging on the nightstand. When had that happened? And when she picked it up, she saw 47 missed calls from Jason, 31 from Rebecca, and dozens of messages from friends and family. One text from her sister stood out. Zara, what the hell? You got married. Call me immediately. Zara stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over her sister's number. How could she possibly explain this? She couldn't even explain it to herself. Instead, she opened her photos and found dozens of images from last night that she didn't remember taking. Her in that beautiful white dress, laughing at something off camera. Dante looking at her with an expression that seemed almost real. The two of them cutting a cake, their hands intertwined. She looked happy, genuinely happy. Had some part of her known what she was doing? Had her broken? Drunk self made a decision her sober self never would have had the courage to make? A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. A woman in her 50s entered, carrying a tray with breakfast. Good morning, Mrs. Russo. I'm Elena, the house manager. Mr. Russo thought you might be hungry. Mrs. Russo. The name sounded foreign, wrong, but also kind of powerful. Thank you, Zara said, taking the tray. Pastries, fresh fruit, coffee that smelled like heaven. If you need anything at all, just press the button by the bed. I'll come right away. Elena smiled warmly. Welcome to the family, dear. After Elena left, Zara ate mechanically, her mind spinning. This was her life now. For 1 year, she would be Zara Russo, wife of a billionaire, living in a world she'd only ever seen in movies. She thought about Jason, probably losing his mind trying to reach her. Thought about her tiny apartment in Brooklyn with its perpetually broken heater and the neighbors who fought every night. Thought about her dead-end marketing job, where she worked 60-hour weeks for barely enough to cover rent. Maybe drunk Zara had been smarter than she'd thought. Her phone rang. Her sister again. Zara took a deep breath and answered. Hey, Nia. Zara Elizabeth Williams, what the actual? Russo, Zara interrupted quietly. It's Zara Russo now. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then, I'm coming over. Send me the address. Right now. Zara gave her the address, knowing her sister would never believe the truth. Hell, she barely believed it herself. But as she looked out at the Central Park view, at the life of luxury spread before her, at the diamond ring that probably cost more than she'd earned in 5 years, one thought kept circling through her mind. Maybe some mistakes weren't mistakes at all. Maybe they were exactly what you needed, disguised as disaster. The stylist arrived exactly at 2, along with 3 assistants carrying enough clothing to stock a boutique. Zara stood in a massive walk-in closet. When had her things been moved here? While a woman named Simone circled her like a predator sizing up prey. Good bone structure, Simone murmured. Excellent skin. We can work with this. Thanks, Zara said, feeling like a show horse. Mr. Russo wants elegant but memorable. You're attending the Metropolitan Children's Hospital Gala tonight. The press will be there. Every photo of you will be analyzed, dissected, and judged by people who spent their entire lives perfecting their image. Comforting. Simone's expression softened slightly. You'll be fine. You have something they don't. You're genuine. Use that. For the next 3 hours, Zara was poked, prodded, dressed, and undressed more times than she could count. By the time Simone was satisfied, Zara barely recognized herself in the mirror. The dress was midnight blue, almost black, with a neckline that managed to be both modest and devastating. It hugged her curves before flowing to the floor in elegant waves. Her natural curls had been styled into soft waves that framed her face, and her makeup was dramatic without being overdone. She looked expensive, powerful, like someone who belonged in Dante Russo's world. Perfect, Simone said, snapping photos on her phone. Mr. Russo will be pleased. As if summoned, there was a knock on the door. Dante entered, now wearing a tuxedo that probably cost more than Zara's car, and he stopped dead when he saw her. Something flashed across his face. Surprise, appreciation, something darker she couldn't quite name, before the mask of control slammed back into place. "You look acceptable," he said, his voice carefully neutral. Simone made a choking sound. Acceptable? She looked stunning. That too. Dante's eyes held Zara's for a moment longer than necessary. The car is waiting. In the limousine. Because of course there was a limousine, Dante briefed her on the evening ahead. The gala is hosted by the Vandermeer family. Old money, older grudges. Catherine Vandermeer has been trying to get me to marry her daughter for 5 years. Awkward, Zara said. Very, which is why you need to be convincing tonight. Smile, laugh at my jokes, let me touch you. We need to look like a couple madly in love. I don't know how to do that. Sure you do. Pretend I'm someone you actually like. Despite herself, Zara almost smiled. That's a stretch. Try. He reached over and took her hand, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. The touch sent electricity up her arm. Like this. Natural contact. Make it seem like you can't help but touch me. I can't stand you. And yet we're married. Life is full of little ironies. But there was something in his voice that wasn't quite as cold as before. The gala was held at a mansion that made Dante's penthouse look modest. Zara's anxiety spiked as they pulled up, photographers already crowding the entrance. Smile, Dante murmured, his hand settling on her lower back. Remember, you're hopelessly in love with me. I'm going to bill you for this acting performance. It's included in your monthly allowance. Then they were out of the car and into chaos. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, and Dante's hand on her back was the only thing keeping her grounded. Mr. Russo, who's your mystery bride? Dante, where'd you two meet? Is it true you've been secretly dating for years? Dante ignored them all, guiding Zara up the steps with the ease of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. But just before they reached the doors, he stopped and turned to her, and what he did next stole her breath. He cupped her face in his hands and kissed her. It wasn't a quick peck. It was a kind of kiss that spoke of passion and history, and 1,000 private moments. His lips were soft and demanding at once. And for a second, just a second, Zara forgot this was all an act. When he pulled back, she was dizzy. What was that for? She whispered. They needed a photo. I gave them one they'll never forget. His eyes searched hers. Are you okay? Surprisingly, she was, yeah, I'm good. Good. Because Catherine Vandermeer is coming this way, and she looks furious. The woman approaching them was in her 50s, dripping in diamonds, with the kind of smile that could cut glass. Dante, what a surprise. We had no idea you'd be bringing a date. Not a date. My wife. Dante pulled Zara closer. Catherine, this is Zara. Zara, Catherine Vandermeer. She hosts the most exclusive gala in New York. Wife! Catherine's smile never wavered, but her eyes went arctic. How sudden! I don't believe we've met before. Dear, what family are you from? This was a test. Zara could feel it. This woman was asking which wealthy dynasty she belonged to, which social circle she moved in. I'm from Atlanta originally, Zara said, meeting Catherine's gaze steadily. And I'm not from any family you'd know. I'm just someone who fell in love with an extraordinary man. Catherine's eyebrows rose. How charming. And what do you do, dear? I worked in marketing before the wedding. Small agency, nothing glamorous. Zara smiled. But Dante likes that I have my own career. He says it keeps things interesting. I'm sure it does. Catherine's tone suggested she thought the opposite. Well, do enjoy the evening. The Vandermeer family prides itself on standards. After she glided away, Zara let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. She hates me. She hates everyone. Don't take it personally. Dante led her into the ballroom, which looked like something from a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, Flowers everywhere. You did well. I told the truth. Sometimes that's the best strategy. The evening passed in a blur of introductions, champagne, and navigating conversations with people who spoke in codes Zara didn't understand. But Dante never left her side, his hand always on her back or holding hers, and gradually she started to relax until she saw Jason. He was across the ballroom, wearing a suit that didn't fit right, looking completely out of place. Their eyes met, and the shock on his face would have been funny if her heart wasn't suddenly racing. "Excuse me," she told Dante. "I need some air." She made it to the balcony before Jason caught up to her. "Zara, wait." She turned, and seeing him now, after everything, was strange. He looked smaller somehow, less significant. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Rebecca's father got us tickets." "I didn't know you'd be." He stopped, staring at her ring. "Is that real?" "Yes." "Zara, this is crazy. You married a complete stranger to get back at me." "I didn't do this to get back at you, Jason. I did this for me. You don't even know him. Do you know what people say about Dante Russo? He's dangerous. Zara, cold. He's not capable of love. And you are." The words came out sharper than she intended. "You love me so much you slept with my best friend in our bed." "That was a mistake. I was confused. Rebecca and it didn't mean anything. It meant everything to me." Jason reached for her hand, but she stepped back. "We can fix this. Call your lawyer, get an annulment, and come home. We can work through this." "There's nothing to work through. We're done, Jason. We've been done for a while. I just didn't see it." "You're making a huge mistake." "Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Is there a problem here?" They both turned. Dante stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable, but there was something dangerous in the way he looked at Jason. "No problem," Zara said. "Jason was just leaving." "Zara, go home, Jason. Move on. I have." She walked past him, back to Dante, who offered her his arm. As they returned to the ballroom, she felt lighter somehow, freer. "You okay?" Dante asked quietly. "Yeah, I really am." "Good, because we still have 2 hours of this hell, and Catherine's daughter is heading our way with predatory intent." Despite everything, Zara laughed. And this time, when Dante pulled her close as they danced, when his hand settled possessively on her waist, it didn't feel quite as much like an act. Maybe it was the champagne. Maybe it was the adrenaline of facing Jason. Or maybe, just maybe, it was the way Dante looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention, like she was something precious he hadn't expected to find. They got home after midnight. Zara kicked off her heels the moment they entered the penthouse, groaning in relief. "Remind me to have Simone buy you more comfortable shoes," Dante said, loosening his bow tie. "Remind me why we have to do this regularly." "Because it's in your contract. Public appearances at least twice a month." "Right, the contract. The magical document that governed her entire life now." Dante poured 2 glasses of whiskey and handed her one. "You did well tonight. Better than I expected. Low bar you set there. High bar, actually. You handled Catherine's interrogation. Didn't let the gossip intimidate you and shut down your ex without causing a scene. I'm impressed." The compliment warmed her more than the whiskey. "Thanks." They stood there in silence, both still in their formal wear, and for the first time all day, Zara really looked at him, studied the sharp line of his jaw, the way his dark hair fell across his forehead, the unexpected softness around his eyes when his guard was down. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Depends on the question." "Why me?" "Really, you could have found a dozen women willing to sign that contract. Why marry a drunk stranger?" Dante was quiet for a long moment, swirling his whiskey. Then, "Because you were real. Everything in my world is calculated, performed, fake. But you were sitting in that club, crying over a broken heart, and you were just genuine. When I talked to you, you didn't recognize me. Didn't know who I was or what I was worth. You just saw a person. And you saw an opportunity. I saw someone brave enough to want to start over. Even drunk, even heartbroken, you wanted to fight back, to take control of your life. His eyes met hers. I respected that. Respected enough to trap me in a marriage contract? You signed it willingly. I was drunk. You were honest. Dante set his glass down. Drunk words or sober thoughts. Some part of you wanted this. Zara wanted to escape your old life. Wanted something different, even if it scared you. He was right. She hated that he was right. I should go to bed, she said. Separate bedroom, remember? Third door on the left. Elena already set up for you. Zara started toward the hallway, then stopped. Dante. Yes. Tonight, when you kissed me outside the gala, was that just for the cameras? The question hung between them, heavy with implications she wasn't sure she wanted to explore. Dante's expression was unreadable. Good night, Zara. It wasn't an answer, but maybe it was enough. Her bedroom was stunning, smaller than a master suite, but still larger than her entire Brooklyn apartment. The bed was enormous. The linens were silk, and French doors led to a private balcony with a view of the city. Zara changed into pajamas Elena had left for her and climbed into bed, but sleep wouldn't come. Her mind kept replaying the day. Waking up married, meeting Dante at the gala, seeing Jason's shocked face, that kiss. She picked up her phone and finally returned her sister's call. You're alive, Nia answered immediately. I've been losing my mind. I'm alive. I'm sorry I didn't call sooner. Zara, what the hell is going on? You married Dante Russo? The Dante Russo? It's complicated. Uncomplicated. So Zara told her everything. The discovery of Jason's betrayal, the drinking, the contract, all of it. Well, almost all of it. She left out the part about how her stomach flipped when Dante looked at her a certain way. This is insane, Nia said when she finished. Also kind of genius. $5 million, Z. I know, but are you safe? I've been reading about this guy. He's seriously connected. Like, dangerous level connected. He hasn't hurt me. Actually, he's been almost kind. Almost kind? That's romantic. It's not romantic. It's a business arrangement. A business arrangement where he kisses you in front of the world's press? That was for show. Was it? Nia's voice went soft. Z, I know you. I can hear it in your voice. You're already halfway interested in this guy. I am not. You are. And honestly, maybe that's okay. Jason was a safe choice that blew up in your face. Maybe you need something dangerous. Nia, just promise me you'll be careful. And that you'll actually enjoy this year. $5 million and a hot billionaire husband? Some women would kill for that. After they hung up, Zara lay in the dark, thinking about her sister's words. Was she already interested in Dante? He was attractive, certainly, and there was something compelling about his intensity, the way he moved through the world with absolute confidence. But interest and attraction were dangerous in a situation like this. She couldn't afford to catch real feeling for a man who saw her as a business transaction, even if he had kissed her like he meant it, even if his touch made her skin burn, even if some reckless part of her wanted to knock on his door. And no, she had to keep this professional. 1 year, $5 million, and freedom. That was the plan. She'd be fine as long as she remembered that. Over the next 2 weeks, Zara settled into her new life with surprising ease. Dante kept their agreement. Separate bedrooms, professional boundaries, no expectations beyond what the contract required. But they also fell into unexpected routines. Morning coffee together, both working on their laptops in comfortable silence. Dante cooking dinner on the rare nights he was home early. He was apparently an excellent cook, which seemed unfair given all his other attributes. Late-night conversations on the balcony. When neither of them could sleep, they attended 3 more events together, each time playing the role of devoted newlyweds. And each time, it felt a little less like acting. Zara also discovered things about Dante that didn't fit his cold businessman image. He donated anonymously to dozens of charities. He called his grandmother in Sicily every Sunday. He had a collection of vintage motorcycles and sometimes took long rides upstate when the pressure of his work got too intense. "Come with me," he said one Saturday morning, appearing in her doorway with motorcycle helmets. I don't know how to ride. You'll be on the back. Hold on to me and trust me not to kill us both. It should have felt dangerous, wrapping her arms around him as they flew down country roads, the wind whipping around them. But instead, it felt like freedom. They stopped at a diner that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1950s, and over burgers and milkshakes, they talked. Really talked. Tell me something real, Zara said. Not the business persona. The real Dante. He was quiet, spinning his water glass between his fingers. My parents died when I was 12. Car accident. My grandfather raised me after that, trained me to take over the business. He was not a warm man. I'm sorry. Don't be. He made me strong, made me successful. But there was something hollow in the words. You can be strong and still wish things had been different. Dante looked at her then, really looked at her, and something shifted in his expression. How do you do that? Do what? See through all the armor. Maybe I recognize it. I spent 6 years with a man who was slowly killing my spirit, and I smiled through every moment because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. She took a sip of her milkshake. We all wear armor, Dante. Yours is just more expensive than most. He laughed, actually laughed, and the sound did something dangerous to her heart. On the ride back, Zara rested her head against his back and admitted to herself what she'd been denying for 2 weeks. She was falling for him. It was stupid and reckless and violated every principle of their agreement, but her heart apparently hadn't read the contract. The trouble started on a Tuesday. Zara was having lunch with Nia at a cafe in Soho when 2 men approached their table. They wore expensive suits and cold smiles that made Zara's skin crawl. Mrs. Russo, one of them said, "We need you to come with us." I don't think so. Zara put down her fork, her pulse racing. Who are you? Friends of your husband. There's a situation that requires your presence. Then my husband can call me himself. The second man leaned close, his voice dropping. Victorchin sends his regards. He wants to discuss terms. Zara's blood ran cold. She'd heard that name before. Victor Chun ran the Chinese syndicate that had been trying to muscle into Dante's territory for years. Zara, who are these people? Nia asked, fear creeping into her voice. No one. We're leaving. Zara stood up, pulling out her phone to call Dante. The first man's hand shot out, gripping her wrist hard enough to bruise. I don't think you understand. This isn't a request. Before Zara could scream, the cafe's door burst open. Dante's head of security, a man named Marcus who looked like he could bench press a car, strode in with 4 other security personnel. Remove your hand from Mrs. Russo, Marcus said calmly, or I remove your arm. The men released her immediately and backed away, but not before one of them said, Victor will be in touch. Tell your husband the offer expires in 72 hours. After they left, Marcus escorted both women to a waiting SUV. Mr. Russo is on his way, he said. You're both safe now. Dante met them at the penthouse, and Zara had never seen him look so furious. He pulled her into his arms the moment she walked in, his whole body tense. Are you hurt? His hands moved over her arms, checking for injuries. I'm fine. They just grabbed my wrist. He pulled up her sleeve and saw the bruises already forming. His expression went from fury to murderous. I'm going to kill them. Dante, I'm going to find every single one of Chen's people and... Dante. She cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. I'm okay. Nia's okay. Marcus got there in time. This is my fault. I should have had more security on you. Should have anticipated. He broke off, pulling her close again. I'm sorry. God, Zara, I'm so sorry. This was different from the controlled man she'd come to know. This was raw emotion, real fear. Who's Victor Chen? She asked quietly. Dante led her to the couch, keeping her hand in his. He runs a Chen organization. They've been trying to take over my territories for 3 years. I've been holding them off, but Chen is getting desperate. What offer were they talking about? Probably territory in exchange for you. Dante's jaw clenched. Like you're a bargaining chip instead of a person. Because I'm your wife. Because you're important to me. The words came out fierce, certain. And that makes you valuable to my enemies. Zara's heart stopped. Important to you? Dante seemed to realize what he'd said. He stood abruptly, running a hand through his hair. I mean, you're my wife. The contract. Screw the contract. Zara stood too, facing him. Just tell me the truth. What am I to you? Zara. The truth, Dante. He stared at her for a long moment, something warring in his expression. Then, you're the first real thing I've had in 10 years. You're the person who makes this penthouse feel like home instead of prison. He stopped, shaking his head. This wasn't supposed to happen. What wasn't? I wasn't supposed to care about you. This was business. A transaction. But every morning I look forward to coffee with you. Every event we attend, I'm proud to have you beside me. When those men put their hands on you today, I wanted to burn the city down. Zara's breath caught. Dante, I know this complicates everything. I know it's not what we agreed to, but I can't. He moved closer, his hand coming up to cup her cheek. I can't keep pretending this is just an arrangement. Then don't. The words came out barely above a whisper. He kissed her then, and it was nothing like the stage kiss at the gala. This was hungry and desperate and real. Zara melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt, and for once, she didn't care about contract or complications or what any of this meant. All she cared about was the way he touched her like she was precious, the way he whispered her name against her lips like a prayer. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante pressed his forehead to hers. This changes things. I know. The contract still stands. You'll still get your money at the end of the year. But he pulled back to look at her. I want this to be real. If you'll let it be. Real is terrifying. I know, but I think you're brave enough to try. Zara thought about Jason, about safe choices and broken hearts. Thought about the woman she'd been 2 weeks ago, drowning her sorrows in a nightclub. That woman had made a reckless choice. And maybe, just maybe, it was the best decision she'd ever made. Okay, she said. Let's try real. Dante's smile was the most genuine thing she'd ever seen from him. He kissed her again, softer this time, and Zara let herself fall into the impossibility of it all. The next morning, Zara woke up in Dante's bed. Nothing had happened beyond sleeping. They'd stayed up talking until dawn, wrapped in each other's arms, learning all the small details that contracts and public appearances couldn't reveal. She learned that Dante took his coffee black, that he had a scar on his ribs from a motorcycle accident when he was 17, that his favorite food was his grandmother's pasta carbonara, and that he'd been lonely for so much longer than he wanted to admit. He learned that Zara sang in the shower, that she was afraid of spiders but had once caught one in her apartment to release it outside because she couldn't stand to kill it, that she wanted to travel to every continent before she turned 40, and that she stopped believing in love until she woke up married to him. We should talk about Victor Chun, Dante said as they had breakfast together. About what happens next. What does happen next? I have a meeting with him tomorrow. Neutral territory, public location. He wants to negotiate. Are you going? I have to. If I don't, he'll escalate. But I need you to stay here with security. Dante, please. He took her hand. I can handle Chun. I can't handle worrying about you while I'm trying to negotiate. She wanted to argue, but she saw the fear beneath his control. Okay, but you come back to me in one piece. Always. The meeting was set for a restaurant in Midtown. Dante left with Marcus and 3 other security personnel, and Zara tried to distract herself with work. She'd been consulting for a few clients remotely, maintaining some independence despite her new circumstances. But she couldn't focus. Couldn't stop thinking about Dante sitting across from a man who'd threatened her, negotiating with someone who saw her as leverage. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mrs. Russo. The voice was smooth, accented. This is Victor Chun. I believe your husband is looking for you. Ice flooded Zara's veins. What are you talking about? I'm at home. Are you? Because I'm looking at security footage that shows you leaving the building 20 minutes ago, getting into a black SUV. Quite willingly, it seemed. That's impossible. I haven't left. She ran to the window. The street below looked normal. You're blowing smoke. Am I? Check your bedroom, Mrs. Russo. The one you slept in last night. I believe you'll find something interesting. With shaking hands, Zara walked to Dante's bedroom. Everything looked normal until she saw the pillow. Her pillow from last night. Someone had placed a single black orchid on it with a note. Thanks for the visit. V. Someone had been in the apartment. Someone had been in the bedroom while she slept. How? Her voice shook. I have people everywhere, Mrs. Russo. Even in your husband's organization. Even in his home. Victor's voice turned cold. Now, your husband is at our meeting location, probably calling you frantically. I suggest you answer him. Tell him you're fine. Tell him you're at home, safe and sound. Because if you don't, I'll be forced to activate the secondary plan, and trust me, you won't like it. Why are you doing this? To show your husband that he can't protect what he loves, that his empire has cracks, that he needs to accept my terms before he loses everything. Victor paused. Answer his call, Mrs. Russo. Act normal. You have 5 seconds. The line went dead just as Dante's name flashed on her screen. Zara's mind raced. If she told Dante the truth, he'd lose control, would do something reckless. Victor was right. This was a power play, showing that he could reach her anytime, anywhere. But if she lied, the phone rang again. She answered. Zara, thank God. Dante's voice was tight with fear. Are you okay? Marcus just told me someone tried to breach the building's security system. I'm fine. I'm at home. Everything's quiet here. You're sure? Nothing seems off. Everything was off. Everything was wrong. But if she told him that, what would happen? I'm sure. How's the meeting? It's fine. Chun is posturing. I'll be home in an hour. He paused. I love you. The words hit her like a physical blow. They hadn't said it yet, hadn't crossed that final line. And he was saying it now, in the middle of a crisis, because he thought he might not get another chance. I love you too, she whispered and meant it. After they hung up, Zara sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the black orchid. She had 2 choices. Tell Dante the truth and risk him doing something dangerous, or keep the secret and handle this herself. She picked up the orchid, her jaw set. Victor Chun had made a critical error. He'd shown his hand, revealed that he had someone inside Dante's organization. And Zara knew exactly how to use that information. She called Marcus directly. I need you to do something for me, but you can't tell Dante. Mrs. Russo, I can't keep secrets from a boss. Someone breached the apartment, left this orchid in the bedroom. Victor can call me, threaten me. She spoke quickly, efficiently. He has someone inside Dante's organization. That's how he got in. And if we tell Dante right now, he'll lose control and Chin will win. Marcus was silent for a long moment. What do you need? Help me find the mole before Dante gets back, before this escalates. That's dangerous. So is doing nothing. Another pause. Then, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Don't touch anything. While she waited, Zara photographed the orchid and note from every angle, checked the security footage from the building's cameras, and found a gap. 10 minutes of missing recording from that morning. Professional, organized, someone who knew the system. Marcus arrived with a tech specialist and a woman Zara hadn't met before, tall, lethal-looking, with the coldest eyes she'd ever seen. This is Sophia, Marcus said. She handles internal security. If there's a mole, she'll find them. Sophia examined the orchid, the note, the missing footage. This was done by someone with administrative access to the security system. That's a very short list. How short? Zara asked. 4 people. Marcus, myself, the head of Russo Industry Security, and Sophia's expression went dark. Thomas. Who's Thomas? Elena's nephew. He's been working building security for 3 months. Vetted, background check, everything. Marcus pulled out his phone. But if he's the one, where is he now? Zara interrupted. Sophia checked her tablet. Called in sick this morning. First sick day since he started. Too convenient. We need to find him before Dante gets back, Zara said. And we need proof. Mrs. Russo, with respect, this isn't your job, Marcus said. It became my job when Chin threatened me in my own home, when he used me to get to Dante. She met his gaze steadily. I'm not helpless, and I'm not going to sit here and wait while Dante walks into whatever trap Chun has planned next. Sophia smiled, sharp and dangerous. I like her. Okay, Mrs. Russo, let's catch a traitor. They found Thomas at a hotel in Queens, meeting with one of Chen's known associates. Sophia had him grabbed before he could run, and within 30 minutes, they had a full confession. Thomas had been feeding Chen information for 2 months, including Dante's schedule, security protocols, and personal vulnerabilities. Chen paid me $50,000, Thomas said, his face pale with fear. Said it was just information. I didn't know I didn't think. You didn't think selling out your employer would have consequences? Sophia's voice was ice. You gave him access to Mrs. Russo, to the penthouse. You enabled today's threat. I'm sorry. I'll testify. I'll tell you everything. You'll tell Mr. Russo everything, Marcus corrected, and then you'll pray he's feeling merciful. They brought Thomas back to the penthouse just as Dante returned from his meeting. He walked in, saw Thomas restrained between 2 security guards, saw Zara standing there with Sophia and Marcus, and his expression went through several emotions at once: confusion, understanding, fury. What is this? His voice was deadly calm. This is the mole, Zara said. Thomas has been feeding information to Victor Chun for 2 months. He gave Chen access to our home, to your schedule, everything. Dante's gaze fixed on Thomas, and the young man actually whimpered. Is this true? Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I needed the money, and Chen said, get him out of my sight. Sophia, call our lawyers. I want charges filed for everything we can possibly charge him with. Marcus, call my contacts at the DA's office. We're not handling this quietly. After Thomas was removed, Dante turned to Zara. You did this? Found the mole, got the confession, all while I was at that meeting. Chen called me, threatened me, showed me he could get to me whenever he wanted. She held up her phone with the photos. He left an orchid in our bedroom. Dante. So yes, I did this, because I'm not going to be used as leverage against you. For a moment, she thought he might be angry, might lecture her about taking risks or interfering in his business. Instead, he crossed the room in 3 strides and kissed her hard. You're incredible. You know that. I was terrified, but you didn't freeze, didn't panic. You found a weakness and exploited it. He rested his forehead against hers. Chen made a mistake. He thought you were my weakness. He didn't realize you're my strength. So what happens now? Now. Dante's smile was dangerous. Now we go on offense. Chen wanted to show me my empire has cracks. You just proved it doesn't. And with Thomas's testimony, we have enough to bring criminal charges that will bury Chan for years. For the next week, everything moved fast. Thomas's confession led to warrants, arrests, and the systematic dismantling of Victor Chen's operations in New York. Chen himself fled to Hong Kong before he could be arrested, but his organization was broken. And through it all, Zara stood beside Dante, not as a business arrangement or contract obligation, but as his partner, his equal. They still kept separate bedrooms, mostly because Dante's closet was enormous and Zara had gotten attached to her space. But most nights, they fell asleep in each other's arms. The contract was still valid. The money would still be paid at the year's end. But both of them knew it didn't matter anymore. This wasn't business. This was real. 6 months later, Zara sat in the study reviewing contracts for her new consulting firm. Fully funded, fully independent. Something she'd built herself with Dante's encouragement but not his money. She heard him come home, heard him talking to Elena about dinner plans. Felt him before she saw him, his hands settling on her shoulders as he leaned down to kiss the top of her head. How was your day? He asked. Productive. I signed 2 new clients. How was yours? Long, boring. Full of men in suits arguing about profit margins. He spun her chair around to face him. I have a question. Okay. Our contract expires in 6 months. Zara's heart skipped. They hadn't talked about this, both of them avoiding the inevitable conversation about what happened when their year was up. "I know," she said quietly. "I want to renegotiate the terms." "Dante, hear me out." He knelt in front of her, taking her hands. "The original contract stipulated 1 year of marriage in exchange for $5 million. But I want to propose new terms." "What terms?" "Forever." His gray eyes held hers, completely serious. "Marry me again. For real this time. No contract, no time limit, no money involved. Just you and me and whatever comes next." Zara felt tears prick her eyes. "That's terrible negotiation strategy. You're offering me nothing in exchange for a lifetime commitment. I'm offering you everything. My loyalty, my protection, my heart, for whatever it's worth. I'm offering you a partnership where you're not just my wife on paper, but my equal in everything." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a ring, different from the one she wore, more delicate, with sapphire instead of diamond. "My grandmother's ring. She gave it to me before she died and told me to give it to someone worthy, someone strong, someone real." "Dante, you don't have to answer now. You can wait until the contract expires. You can take your money and walk away. I'll understand." But there was hope in his eyes, naked and vulnerable. "But I'm asking, will you marry me again?" Zara thought about the woman she'd been 6 months ago. Broken, drunk, desperate. Making a reckless choice that should have been a disaster. She thought about everything that had happened since. The fear, the danger, the impossibility of it all. And she thought about the man kneeling in front of her, who'd started as a stranger and become her home. "You know what the worst part is," she said. "What?" "You made me fall in love with you. You with your cooking and your motorcycle rides and your secret charitable donations. You made me believe in love again after I'd sworn it off forever. Is that a yes?" "That's you're incredibly inconvenient, and I hate how much I love you." She smiled through her tears. "But yes, yes, I'll marry you again. For real this time." He slipped his grandmother's ring onto her finger beside the original band, then kissed her with enough passion to make her forget her own name. "We should probably have an actual wedding," he said when they finally came up for air. "Your sister will kill me if we don't. Nia's been planning our real wedding since month 2. She has Pinterest boards." "Of course she does." He pulled her up from the chair into his arms. "I love you, Zara Russo. I love you too." She rested her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Even though you stalked me and trapped me in a marriage contract. Even though you cost me $50,000 in security upgrades after the Thomas incident. Even though you let me fall in love with you knowing this was temporary. It was never temporary." His arms tightened around her. "From that first night, some part of me knew you were never going to be temporary. That's very romantic for a man who proposed via business contract renegotiation. I'm learning. Give me 30 or 40 years. I might actually get good at this." 30 or 40 years? Zara pulled back to look at him. "That's a long contract. Lifetime warranty. No escape clauses." His eyes sparkled with something close to mischief. "Think you can handle it?" She thought about the year behind them. The chaos, the danger, the impossibility of 2 strangers becoming something real. She thought about the years ahead. Whatever challenges would come, whatever dangers lurked in Dante's world, whatever obstacles they'd face. "Yeah," she said, pulling him down for another kiss. "I think I can handle it." Outside the penthouse windows, New York glittered with possibility. And inside, 2 people who'd started with a drunken mistake and a business contract held each other close and chose forever. Because sometimes the worst decisions lead to the best outcomes. Sometimes the most dangerous choice is the one that saves you. And sometimes falling for the wrong person turns out to be exactly right. The end. Did Maya and Dante's story leave you breathless? Drop a comment telling me which moment had you most hooked. And if you're craving more passionate, dangerous, impossible love stories that'll keep you up at night, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, the next story coming your way involves a fake relationship, a family scandal, and a romance that breaks every rule in the book. You won't want to miss it. Click that subscribe button now and I'll see you in the next story where love is always dangerous and always worth it.